Okay, I think we're live. Okay, let's do it. Uh, Today we're going to cover something a little bit kind of weird, but I figured, I got a couple minutes, might as well do it. There's some new, interesting ideas, I think, being incorporated into ufology or the study of it, and I think some of those ideas are coming from the past. So, one of those things is kind of like something called theosophy, which was, I mean, it has its roots with like Helena Blavatsky, this kind of like mystic, and then Rudolf Steiner ended up writing a lot more about some particular things that I think are related. And he kind of laid out a model of consciousness and a model of the physical world that I think, I don't know, it inspired some stuff for me to kind of like map out. So I figured we'd just go over some of it. It was used, the graphics I made based on this concept were used in some of the podcasts. So why not go over it myself and really get like the basis of the idea out, and maybe it'll be a jumping off point for some new stuff. So without further ado, let me get this guy in here. So this is the thing that I made, and it's just kind of the only way I could really model out um, how this could work. So let me try to make sense of it real quick. So this is the model of how kind of mind is the builder, I think would be a really good way to put it. Mind is the builder. This is the general concept. This means that it's through the mind that we build the physical world. Now I try to work out how this could be, and I incorporated some ideas from Rudolf Steiner, which is a theosophist from the early 20th century, I think. And yeah, so theosophy is kind of like this really scientific study of spirituality, and they tried to really come up with a ton of architecture for spiritual thought to be draped over, which is really cool, in my opinion. And like I said, this is really early 20th century, late 19th century stuff. So um, it's late in the game as far as info and religions, but it's early in the game as far as like kind of like science and the modern world. So very interesting. And also something to keep in mind is that era, like let's say like 1850 to 1915. These are very interesting. This is a good block of time people should be researching if you're into UFOs or anything um, related, this paranormal stuff. It's a very interesting time to research. So let's talk about this chart. So first of all, I'll start to name these things and I'll discuss how and why I think I did so. So the basic idea is that this area here is the spiritual world. This is the mental world. This is the world in our minds, our conscious landscape. Um, when we imagine, this is the kind of system that's there, right? And so these things on the sides would be representative of what Rudolf Steiner called angels. And then this here is us. This is our soul, our superconscious. I don't know what else you want to call that. But in this chain of command here, the soul is basically our superconscious, the thing that's really driving the stuff that's driving our life. But the soul is non-physical. It's not existing in the physical world, and it probably would kill everybody if it showed up. So we'd want to like keep it in that world. And so there's rules put in place on how our souls operate our, essentially our bodies within the physical world. Um, and they do so through the use of mental imagery, which theosophists say is the role of some classification of angels. There's multiple classes of angels that do multiple different things, and one of those classes is we're assigned we're assigned them, and they build our mind's eye. They produce the images that we see, and this has some cultural roots too. Like if you look at these old cartoons of Bugs Bunny sitting there, and he has a choice to make. There's an angel and a demon that show up on both of his shoulders, and they tell him or explain to him what could happen if he does X or Y. And that's a really interesting thing. So like it's something that's written in, it's esoteric, but it's also kind of like legit. So that's what these are. These are the angels. These are the things that build our mental images for us to kind of really construct the next step, right? And so why they have to do that? Why would they use mental images to do this? And why wouldn't the soul just have basically a direct line to the physical body to move us around like a puppet? And so that would be boring. That's my opinion. I don't know. I don't have these answers. I just think it would be really boring. So it has to basically convince our brain through mental images to do certain things. And there's only so many times, parts of the day where we're susceptible to this type of impression. Some people don't even have a mind's eye. So this is a concept that I'm not sure if it wraps around that, but like in general, you know, it's through these motivations that we're led to do things. And one of the best places to construct full mental images is the dreamscape. So during a dream, I think is when these guys are most active, when they're really doing their work. And they require so much bandwidth and so much power to do this that like your body has to be completely shut off for. You can't even do anything. I mean, if you ever encounter somebody in REM sleep, they're out. Uh, so that's the level of power that it costs to really create the landscape they want to for us, to really try to influence our motivations and our ideas and our lives and our days. Sometimes it's very helpful. So through the mental images is how we're controlled, or how we receive these kind of higher instructions, higher like kind of guides. And then and this is kind of like an interesting thing, I think, because it's kind of fractal based. But just as the soul controls these guys who build things, the brain controls the hands that build things in the physical world. So so here we have a sphere, a pyramid, and a cube. These are um, maybe the sphere is not, but these are essentially platonic solids. So they're shapes that exist on multiple dimensions. um, and then the hands, basically then can create things that resemble these platonic solids. It's a very interesting thing. Like physical matter in the physical world is, in a way, a translation of spiritual motives. If that makes sense. This is what people talk about when they say, like, the mind is the builder. So it's a system that probably ascends upwards to, that probably has another, where this is probably in part of another system, where this is an allegory for the other thing too. So and it probably goes lower. I mean, if you really think about it, like honestly, one of the things that we've built with our hands, right, and our mind, is these computers that we're watching this stuff on. And these are what? These are virtual worlds. So it's another part of a system. If you put a computer chip here and went down again, it would be kind of the same thing, and you need to have you need to have ways to manipulate the virtual world, right? That are going to be made out of ones and zeros, which would probably be representative of a two-dimensional landscape, a flat land, if you will. So, I'm sure it goes up and I'm sure it goes down, and that's cool with me, man. So, people should really dive into theosophy if you guys haven't dived into it. I don't suggest any kind of no one should start to follow any kind of religious idea, but it's as a avenue of research for ufology or UFOs or the paranormal or spiritual whatever, um, consciousness especially. It's a really really good. Oh, what's up, chat? It's a really really good thing to look into, because it's, like I said, they were trying to scientifically explain a metaphysical concept, the spirituality, which is a really hard thing to explain, and the fact that they even tried to is really really cool. It's a really it should be, I commend it. Even though maybe they made some mistakes, I don't know, but some of the stuff I come across, it's really really cool. And then, so someone's takeaway from this, let's see, David, so humans could be a computer virus. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I think that we are in a way, like a computer, but I think we built computers off of the system that we see today, like off of this, we intuited the way a structure like that would work based on our own, nature, I think. And then so we try to recreate that in the form of a computer. So I found it interesting. I wasn't into computers growing up, but my buddies were, and they talked often about it. So I tried to build one with them, and they were like, "Oh, we got a motherboard, video card, sound card, all this stuff." And I'm like, "Well, this is reminding me of like the parts of the brain, visual cortex, all this stuff." And I was really astounded at how similar, right? We ended up making computers to the way we function. So it's an interesting thing. I do not think humans are viruses. I think we're great. We're pretty good. Um, and through this, in this idea, like, why would this system be like this? And how could we, are we able to really integrate this into our world? For me, I am. As an imaginative person, I don't mind the thought of there being some weird things in there, or in our, some weird class of some form of life whose job it is to kind of do this. Because I don't remember, I don't, as I'm thinking of things and as I'm visualizing things, I don't often have to build a park leaf by leaf, blades of grass by blades. I don't often have to do that. If I imagine a park, it's like populated already with swings, a trash can, a walkway. It's populated. If I wanted people in there, instantaneous, there's people in there. I'm not doing that. I'm not going through and like doing this piece, but I don't build a sweater thread by thread, right? When I imagine a sweater. And so it's an interesting thing. To me, it's not outlandish to think there's something else building these ideas. So I love it, in that sense. And then the idea, I guess, like the I don't know, the art or the aesthetics or the poetry of the fact that this system that we have here kind of like is translatable to this system. So again, like, you have a brain, you have two hands, and we have to manipulate the world around, the physical world around us with these things. We have other tools and other things we can do, but like if we really wanted to build something, we really have to do it with ourselves, with our hands. That's our how we manipulate the physical world. And so next time you imagine something or whatever, think about why are these images just there? What's going on? If you ever have a dream, right? The idea that your soul could be trying to communicate large concepts to your conscious mind via mental images is not that crazy, in my opinion. It's not that far off. It's one of the things that kind of rang true with this. Like, you wonder why film that's an hour and a half long could like carry with it so much weight, or a story that's even shorter, someone tells you, is this impactful thing. Like, stories themselves are a type of art and a mental image that like serves to carry with it like empathy, and like, we walk through the coals or the flames with the character. And so it's a symbolic gesture of some stuff. And I think that's kind of what this is. The mind is building complex images for us to take away complex things and then integrate them in our lives, because our lives are very interwoven, and we're not, like Donald Hoffman says, we're not always privy to everything that we're seeing. Like, it's not always true. We're seeing representations and symbols of stuff. So yeah, it's good to know. It's good to kind of dive into. Check out Theosophy. I'm not sure what coast you're on or what you're doing, but you guys better check out the Jack Valet on Trinity. That's about to start in 2 minutes. So this is getting over. Please check that out. It's over on Martin Willis Live Show. So check that out. It's about to start. So I got to end this broadcast. I hope you got something out of it. If you're not subscribed, please do. If you're not following me on Twitter, please do. Check out tupacabra.com. And thank you guys for being here. Thanks for checking out the video. Until next time, guys. Peace.